Okay, Sophie, can you share with us a little bit about what made you go from being passionate about yoga to actually wanting to share it?
Up until the time I started teaching, my practice was really very much about me. It was getting to the mat, having that discipline and that rigor to practice consistently over time. And I felt like the next step, if I wanted to go deeper on the yogic path, was really about starting to live this aspiration to put others before myself. The work that I do, I'm a yoga teacher, and I also work to prevent violence against women, and it's all about social justice. And I wanted to have a way to bring that justice lens into my yoga practice, and I thought being a teacher would be a really good way for me to start to challenge myself and share what I'd learned, and also learn from other people and grow in a different direction. I started a program called Hart Yoga. It stands for Healing and Resilience Through Yoga. And that's really more of a yoga-informed program for healing and resilience building after trauma. So I've been working with, first I started with refugee women, and then in the last year or so I've been working with survivors of trafficking for sex work with Hart Yoga, and it's cohort based, so I work with the same group of women for 12 weeks and then start a new cycle.
Can you share a bit about your community impact at Hart Yoga and how yoga benefits them?
Yeah, so with Hart Yoga, I'm working with a group of women, many of whom have experienced like really deep trauma that has imprinted on their bodies actually. And right now we're just learning so much about how yoga and other body-based approaches, other somatic approaches can be quite effective treatment for psychological disorders, for PTSD, for anxiety, for depression. And there's a lot of science behind it, which is incredibly exciting. And for me, I'm not a medical provider, I'm not a scientist, but I can see it in the women that I work with. I can see that when we start practicing, they are not only do they feel unsafe in their bodies, but they don't even know how to hear their bodies. If you ask them, if you're in Warrior One and you ask where do you feel this stretch, there's no connection there. The visceral connection has been broken. And by slowly starting to synchronize movement with breath and giving cues that reorients the focus into the body, they start to learn and they start to experience that they can be safe and they can relax within their bodies. They can enjoy Shavasana at the end of class. So I think the possibilities is to heal the mind, the body, and the heart. And I think the community aspect is also really important. So all the practice that we're doing, we're synchronizing our movements with each other. And that brings a lot of attunement and a lot of connection. Yeah, I think there's great potential for healing, and what the women tell me is that they can sleep better, that they used to feel pain in their lower back every day, and now they don't. That pain has disappeared, and trauma does cause very physical manifestations many times, so working at the level of the body ultimately can start to unravel the trauma and loosen its grips so that people can live, full lives and experience well-being and experience peace and relate with other people. So it's quite profound, actually.
What is Sophie in the next 5 years really hoping to accomplish?
So I'm really thinking about sustainability. That requires some success with grant writing and fundraising, and I think sometimes it feels that the yogic kind of spirit or tone and the more business-minded or, money, the need to get money to be sustainable can feel like opposites. But, this is the reality of the world in which we live, and so I think there has to be a way to move forward and to get those resources in if I want this work to continue. So that's the stage I'm at right now. Yeah.
Are there any entrepreneurs or, that are in the yoga world or the social justice world that you look to for inspiration?
The people that have mentored me or that I look up to the most are the ones who are like retain their humility. You know, like for me, it's never going to be about like cult of personality, and yet you need to create a brand and an image to attract, attract students. So I think it's really hard to do that well, and I can think of some teachers like Simon Park, who's been one of my, like most heartfelt teachers. He has an amazing following. People love his classes. And there has to be a bit of a brand involved from the business side, and yet he's the most humble, the most gracious, the most giving person that I know. I think the teachers leading this training, both Pyle and Layla, have that in abundance. They have something really unique to offer, and yet that doesn't bring on the ego of feeling that they're better somehow or superior. So yeah, for me, my inspirations have been those that are able to create something and do it really well, but yet stay humble and keep that orientation around service.
If you had to share your purpose as a yoga entrepreneur, how would you describe it?
What is your purpose? I think for me, if I can bring something that has been so meaningful in my own life and has enriched my life in so many ways, if I can bring that to people and allow them to experience it as well, and maybe heal and maybe become, we're already perfect inside, but to start to really believe that and let that shine out, that would be my purpose. And to do it in places where you can't necessarily go on the next retreat to Lamu, or I think some people think about yoga as like you're on the white sand, and if you can't get there, then you don't ever get to connect to that kind of healing space. And actually, I want to be able to show and share with people the beauty of the practice, like wherever it is. Yeah, we practice in a room that's a classroom, and we have to push all the desks and the chairs to the side. But you hang a beautiful tapestry in the front of the class, and you light some incense, and the space is transformed. It becomes a sacred space, and any space can have that quality.
Well, thank you, Sophie, for your time. It's been amazing to hear your story.
Thanks, Delphine. I really enjoyed talking to you too.
Karuna thanks you. That's perfect.